Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Celia Corbo, functional health practitioner and chiropractor. And today I want to talk to you all about sleep. My big three do's and don'ts of getting better quality sleep. Every single day in my office, I see so many patients. I have so many clients that I'm coaching. And one of the questions I always ask everyone upon meeting them is, how is your sleep? What time do you go to bed? What time do you wake up? I want to know. The reason why sleep is so important is because we spend about a third of our lives sleeping. And it's so much more than just closing your eyes and shutting off for the night. Your body is doing so much healing during this time. Your brain is essentially downloading all of the memories of the day. Your digestive system is doing a nice clean sweep to get rid of all of the toxins and moving things through the system. Everything is essentially resetting when we sleep. That's why it's so important that we get good quality sleep, because the research does show that if we are not getting good quality sleep, it can lead to obesity and weight gain, as well as something called metabolic disease. It leads to decreased immune function. It leads to cognitive impairment. Just so many, I would say, negative things that we can definitely not have in our lives if we just got really good sleep. I usually recommend a good 8 hours of sleep for all of my clients, all of my patients. So if you're going to bed at 12 a.m., wake up at 8 a.m. But usually I recommend going to bed at around 10, 10:30, and waking up anytime between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. If you are finding it difficult to get into a really good sleep routine because you're sleeping in way too late in the morning, instead of cutting your bedtime down and getting to bed earlier, I usually recommend waking up earlier. So if you're one of those people that goes to bed at around 1 a.m. and you're waking up at around, let's say, 11 a.m. the next morning, instead of trying to go to bed earlier, I would recommend waking up a half an hour earlier. So if you're going to bed if you're waking up, sorry, at 11 a.m., try waking up at 10:30. And once you hit 10:30 really well, you go down to 10 o'clock and you make your way down to wake up between the hours of 6 and 8 a.m. As you're doing that, though, you're probably going to feel really tired in the day. And my advice to you is try not to nap, because then you're just going to want to go to bed later on that day because you've napped and you've gotten energy. So try not to nap, try to persevere through the day, and then try going to bed earlier so you can wake up earlier. So I always try and challenge my clients and my patients with that. Wake up a half an hour earlier, and then you'll notice that your bedtime will start to shift and will become more within those normal ranges that I just mentioned. Waking up anytime between 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. Now, another reason why we want to have really good quality of sleep is because not only does it help with the body, but it also helps a lot with stress management. And usually, when we're really tired, it's really difficult to handle the stressors that come at us in life, whether they be internal stressors like disease, which I mentioned before, or external stressors like pressures at work or with family or with any kind of relationship, even with yourself. So, we need to sleep, essentially. That's what I'm getting at. Let me start off with my three don'ts when it comes to getting a better quality of sleep. My first don't is, do not look at a screen, either a phone, a TV, or your computer, 2 hours or up to 30 minutes before going to bed. The reason I give that range, 2 hours to 30 minutes, is because realistically, we're always on our phone. So even if you can start with just a 30-minute time gap between looking at your phone and going to bed, you have 30 minutes of no screen time. That's an amazing start. If you can then make it an hour or 2 hours, that's even better. But really, what I want us to focus on are slow changes that become more of a habit, as opposed to impulsive decisions that are going to lead to you falling off the wagon. So, usually, when it comes to screen time, start with, if you go to bed at 10 p.m., at 9:30 p.m., the phone, the TV, the computer, they all shut off. So you have half an hour of no screen time before going to bed. The reason why this is so important for a better quality of sleep is because your screens emit a type of light called blue light. This light affects our internal biological clock, which is called your circadian rhythm. Our circadian rhythm works really well with only one type of light, and that is the light from the sun. When the sun rises, it signals our circadian rhythm to initiate that wake up response. We release a hormone called cortisol, which is your stress hormone. And essentially, we wake up because there's a spike in cortisol. As the day goes on, our cortisol starts to decline. And as the sun starts to set and starts to go down, our circadian rhythm recognizes that and starts to release another hormone called melatonin. And that is the hormone that prepares us for bed. We want this natural circadian rhythm to take place because this is going to help our bodies thrive physically, chemically, and emotionally. But since the technological revolution and having all this blue light exposure, it's really messed up our circadian rhythm. And especially that blue light, it doesn't signal to the body, even though you're in a dark room, that it's time to go to bed because that blue light is shining and your circadian rhythm's like, whoa, it should be daytime still. I'm not going to release any melatonin. We got to stay awake. We don't want that to happen. Another reason why I want us to decrease screen time is not just because of blue light, but also the dopamine response that we get from the scroll or from the viewing. So we live in a very scroll-based society, especially on Instagram. You're constantly moving that thumb and seeing all these really new images that releases this burst of dopamine. Even when you're watching a movie and it's an action movie or a thriller movie or a chick flick, something new happens, burst of dopamine. That burst of dopamine is going to keep your mind alert and awake, and it makes it really difficult to settle the mind down in order to prepare for bed. So, to reduce those dopamine surges, again, shutting off the phone starting at 30 minutes before you go to bed is a wonderful way to get the body ready for sleep. My second don't before going to bed is eating. This one is a little controversial. You'll find some research out there that supports a meal or a snack before going to bed, but this is a personal opinion. Every time I come home from the office, I'll say around like 8:30 p.m., I'll have a meal and I'll usually have a full meal, protein, carbs, some fats. And I not only get a surge of energy, but then during the night, I find it extremely difficult to stay fast asleep. I usually wake up extremely thirsty. I have to use the bathroom. I get really hot and sweaty, and my body is metabolizing all of this food and has all of this energy that it wants to use, but I'm sleeping and it's not time to use that energy. So eating before you go to bed is not something I really recommend. Again, it does also link with cortisol. So when you eat, you're going to get that surge in cortisol as well, which we don't want before we go to bed. We only want that surge of cortisol in the morning. So what I usually recommend to my patients and to my clients, I mean, unless you're trying to gain weight, again, there is some research to support that having a snack before bed is good. I just try and avoid it. I say try to eat your meals all throughout the day. So by 2 hours prior to going to bed or by 7 p.m., I would say you're done eating for the day. And your body no longer has to worry about digesting food and working in order for you to get that food out of your body. And you could just focus on healing the body while you're sleeping. So that's a personal opinion because, again, there is research to state otherwise. But I will say that for me, it's a definite must not to eat 2 hours before bed or by 7 p.m., which is unrealistic with my lifestyle because I get home at around 8:30. The final don't of getting a good night's rest is no caffeine at least 8 hours before bed. And I know that's a pretty big number, 8 hours. The reason why is because caffeine's actually a drug. It is a stimulant. And some of us, including myself, we actually are not genetically inclined to metabolize caffeine. I have a genetic mutation, and so do many others in the phase 1 out of 3 detox pathways. And this gene is called CYP1A2. And essentially, when you have a mutation in this particular gene, you are considered to have a mutation and not metabolize caffeine very well. What that means is every time you drink coffee, you are affecting the detox pathways of the body. We would only know that you have this genetic mutation if you were to do a genetic test and we were to get your raw data. However, it's something that you can also just notice in yourself if you don't want to do a genetic test. If you drink a coffee and you just feel wired and jittery the whole entire day and you've only had 1 cup of coffee, then that probably is a sign that you have a mutation in that CYP1A2 gene. A lot of people, though, don't recognize it and they tend to over caffeinate. And again, one of the ways that they realize they have this mutation, or unless they do their genetic test and see it for themselves, is their sleep quality is just very poor. And again, they're just not going into that deep REM or rapid eye movement level of sleep. There's about 4 phases of sleep, and then the 5th one is REM. There's phase 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, all producing different wavelengths in the brain as we fall deeper and deeper and deeper into sleep. But the most important level of sleep is called REM, rapid eye movements, which I just stated before. And if we are not going into REM sleep, we essentially are not rebooting and reprogramming our brain. Essentially, going into REM is like turning your phone off and on, and everything is fresh and clear and working. That's REM, but for the body. Now, if you are overstimulated with caffeine, if you are not going into that deep layer of sleep, that can be a problem because the body is not refreshing itself. It's not rebooting, and we can end up with those physiological conditions and that state of dis-ease, which I mentioned in the beginning, like metabolic syndrome, obesity, immune system deficiency, brain fog, high stress, you name it, we can get it. So we need to reboot. We need to go into REM. There's also research to show that sleeping pills or medication for sleep does not allow the body to go into REM as well. So even though you're taking a sleeping pill, you're not getting into that deep REM sleep. But always talk with your doctor about your medications and the side effects and symptoms that may come with medication. But that's just a side note. So my 3 don'ts to get good quality sleep: do not look at your screen, do not eat 2 hours before, and do not consume caffeine at least 8 hours before you go to bed. If you don't do those 3 things, I can tell you that it might be a better sleep that you will have over time. Again, when it comes to you going on your health journey, everyone is going to experience something different. I know for me, it can be really difficult to practice all 3 of these things all the time. I really do try my best. But like I said, I'm human. And sometimes I come home late from the office and I'm really hungry because it's been a really busy day and I didn't prepare a meal to have for lunch. And, I have a big gluttonous meal for dinner. And then I'm like, oh, why did I do that? When I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm parched, I'm sweaty, and I'm going to the bathroom. And then sometimes, yeah, I do veg out on my couch and I do watch TV and it is relaxing. But again, I know that my brain is so stimulated because when I go to fall asleep, I'm like, oh, I'm like counting sheep. I can't close my eyes. I cannot just turn my brain off. Like I notice these things in myself. And that's why I want to share it with you because I want to bring it to your attention if you do have poor quality sleep. And maybe these are things that you do routinely that you don't even realize could be a problem until you know that it's a problem and you got to fix it. So to end off this video, I want to go through my 3 do's to get good quality sleep. Number 1 is move. Move your body. As humans, we are designed for movement. We are upright and we run and we walk for a reason. Now, when it comes to movement, I wouldn't recommend doing a really high intensity workout late at night because we don't want to spike that cortisol, that stress hormone that I mentioned. But going for a nice gentle walk at night or doing a high intensity workout during the day, we want to spend that energy. We want to get rid of some of that as opposed to just sitting all day and having that energy get pent up within us. Also, movement's not just wonderful for better quality sleep, it's wonderful for physiological benefits to keep your heart strong, your mind sharp, your body in check. It's just such a wonderful, wonderful natural medicine to move your body. So that's my first do. My second is get into a nighttime routine. So when it comes to the mornings, I have a pretty good routine of I wake up, I go brush my teeth, I turn on my kettle, I get my coffee pot going, I read a little bit of my book, I go check my emails. I just do this nice little meditation, you could call it, cuz it kind of is a meditation and it just sets me up for my day so I can have a really effortless and tranquil day because I've just had a nice relaxed morning. But why not apply that to nighttime? So at nighttime, what I would love for you guys to do is get into a routine. So when you go home or when it's around that 9 o'clock time, slowly start to stop. Slowly turn off your phone and don't look at it. Brew a hot tea, maybe a nice chamomile tea if you like chamomile, because that helps to produce GABA, which is a neurotransmitter, which is a chemical of the brain that helps to promote sleep. So there's that chamomile tea. I'm also just going to turn that down a little bit. And also, then brush your teeth, take off your makeup, wash your face, take a hot shower. Do a nighttime routine that helps to prepare the body for bed and also that brings your circadian rhythms to a more natural progression with the sun. So it's when the sun's going down, you're starting to go down. And my final do, my third do, is hygiene. So this kind of ties into routine, you could say, but routine really could be anything. But I really do encourage a nice face wash, a nice teeth brush, take off your makeup, take a hot shower, really anything that prepares the body for bed from a hygienic standpoint, just because when you are going to bed, it's almost like a full day. It should be 8 hours. And being clean going to bed is wonderful. So we don't have any overgrowth of any kind. Again, hygiene does include maybe like washing your bed sheets. I wouldn't recommend washing them right before you go to bed. That's not really practical, but change your bed sheets maybe, or wash your bed sheets from before. So practicing these really clean hygiene methods can also help to prepare the body for bed and then get your body in a better state for sleep. I hope you guys enjoyed that. So my 3 do's are movement, routine, and hygiene. Remember, sleep is so, so, so important. You need to get good quality of sleep in order to have a good quality of life. What we do during the day is just as important as what we do at night. So make sure that you're preparing your body just as you would during the day. Prepare it for sleep as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so I can keep making you guys awesome videos. And also leave some comments below if you have any questions for me or any new ideas for upcoming episode topics. Take care. See you guys soon.